All right, guys, welcome back for video number 8 of our app tutorial series where we are building an app using Firebase, Flutter, and BLoC. And today we'll focus on authentication screen. So as you've been waiting for the past, 7 episodes, we are actually gonna implement the UI right now because in the last episode we've dealt with the blocks, all of them, and today we're implementing. So let's jump inside it straight up, and we'll be here in our main.dart file under the lib folder. And our goal today is to add some little stuff to it because right now we only have those 3 lines. So you want first to add this little line before, so we are straight up. It just says that we are allowing the phone only to be up, not down on its size. That's just purely to help us later on. And I also want to add this little line because we implemented the blocks in the last episode, and now we actually want to see here inside our debug console all the different events and the different state that the app are in. And to do so, you are going to create a new file that's going to be called simple block observer.dart. You're going to save that. And basically what this file is simply going to be some log depending on what the block is going to throw at us. So it's going to be a class, right? And it's going to extend block observer that is actually coming from the BLoC package that we are implementing right now. And so under that, we are going to implement some methods. All right, so we are going to implement the onCreate method, and we need to import Dart developer because we're using log. So here onCreate, so every time that we are going to create a block, we want to display this method, this message on the debug console. And basically, we are going to do that for as well on event. So every time that there is an event, when the state is changed, so same stuff on change, as well as on transition, on errors, and on close. I'm just going to take them all at once and paste them here. And that's it for this file. So on create, on event, on change, on transition, on error, and on close. So every time that we're dealing with our blocks, we'll be able to see what's happening in the debug console for us to make it a little more clear. So once that's done, you can close this file, go back to your main.dart and import simple block observer as well as Flutter block. Once that's done, our main.dart file is almost ready to go. But first, let's jump onto the app.dart file. So here we've made something super simple for our material app, and we need actually something a little more complex. So first, we need a parameter for our main app widget, which is a user repository parameter, and we are going to import our user repository that we've created. And we want to add this user repository to our constructor. Perfect. So here, instead of returning our material app right here, we're actually going to delete all that. And here we want to return a multi-repository provider. And here I make it multi, but I could just make a repository provider because we're only going to return one repository. But if you have several ones, at least is going to be created right here, and you can just add them to the list. So the providers are going to be a list of single providers, right? And this is basically going to be a repository provider, okay? And we are going to create the provider that we want. And basically, this is going to be the authentication block that we are going to be adding right here. So you need to pass the context, and it's a function that it needs to be returned, okay? And we can directly do that, and we want authentication block. And remember, we want to pass a user repository to our authentication block required, okay? And this is going to be basically our user repository parameter that we've created right here. So that's pretty much done for our repository provider. You might want to say the type of repository provider that you have. You can add that just here, and that's pretty much it. And then we want to return my app view. Okay, but we didn't created this widget yet. So you're going to have an error, but that's fine. And you see that you also have an error in the main.dart file. Why? Because we've added this user repository as something mandatory to pass onto my app. And basically here, it's not going to be constant anymore, but you want to add a Firebase user repository. So up, just going to take it right here. And now you're going to need to import that. Sorry, it's not the Firebase user repository, but perhaps just the user repository. Yes, that's that. And yeah, perfect. Why can't I import the Firebase user repository? Let me check. We didn't import this actually, a user repository, and here it's a user repository, abstract class. And why? Yeah, because abstract class can't be instantiated. That's fine. We need to import actually inside our packages, user repository, lib user repository, and here we need to export as well source Firebase user repository.dart, and here if we come back to our main.file Firebase user repository, everything is working good. Perfect. So that's done. Perfect. Okay, so now we're good. So here in our main.dart file, we're pasting a Firebase user repository, so the repository we've created, into our main app widget. Okay, now let's create this app view. So remember, we've created this app view.dart right here, and now we are going to create this widget. So you can just type up stateless, and we're going to make it a stateless widget. My app view. Okay, so here we are going to actually return the material app. So remove that and return material app. Perfect. Material app, sorry. Material app. So let's remove widget, foundation. We don't need all this. And so you have some little parameters that you want to include here. We want to get rid of this debug banner at the very top. We can add a title to our app. So we'll just call it InstaX, and we can save this file and here import in our app.dart file the appview.dart, and we're going to make it constant. Perfect. Back to our appview.dart file, let's continue onto the theme. So the theme is going to be the colors of our app. So we can basically make them as we want, but let's just go ahead and take these kind of colors that we have right here. So background is going to be white for the light theme. On background is going to be black. We have a primary color that is this color. On primary color that is black. Secondary color that is this color. A ternary color that is this color. And every time on secondary and on primary. Perfect. And now we need actually in our app, material app, a home. All right, so let's go ahead and do just that. Before doing that, I need another parenthesis. So here under theme, home. So here we're starting to implement the BLoC logic. All right, so hang up, bear with me. So we're going to return a BLoC builder. Okay, BLoC builder. Perfect. And now what actually the BLoC builder is going to be the type? Well, the type of the BLoC builder is going to be authentication block, okay, and authentication state. So let's go ahead and import authentication block. Perfect. What a builder does? Well, a builder is a function. It takes the context as well as a state, okay, and needs to return a widget. All right, so it needs to return a widget. You can see right here, it needs to return a widget and it's a function. So what we want to return? Well, if the state that we have dot status, remember, so it's going to be the state of the authentication block, all right, is equal to authentication status dot authenticated. We want to return, let's basically make it for now, we want to return our home screen, okay, that we didn't create it yet. If not, we want to return our welcome page that we didn't create it yet, but we will. So that's basically what it's going to do. So here you can be more specific. If you can add else if status is equal to authentication status.unauthenticated, then you want to return the welcome page. Or if the status is unknown, you want to return a landing page. But here we're going to keep it very simple. So that's pretty much what we will have for this app view .dart file. So now we can save that and we can actually create those two screens, those two widgets, so we don't have any errors. So let's navigate under the screen folder that we didn't create anything under it. So let's go ahead and create a new file. We're going to call that welcome screen.dart. And let's create a new file that we'll call home screen.dart. Perfect. So we're going to make home screen. We're going to make it stateless for now. And let's call it home screen. Perfect. The welcome screen, let's create a stateless widget for now. Let's create welcome screen. Perfect. So those two widgets are created. Now here we can import home screen and welcome screen, actually. Exactly like this. And make those two constant. Perfect. So that's pretty much it for the app view. So now we see that we have a little errors. Let me rebuild the app. Perfect. You might say, well, everything is broken, but that's totally normal because here we are here in the welcome screen because nothing is actually authenticated, and because it's a placeholder that we have on the welcome screen, that's what we have this type of return. So let's go ahead and create our welcome screen, which is going to be our authentication screen. So I want to be a bit more clear. So under screen, I will create a new folder and call it authentication. All right. And I'm going to move welcome screen under authentication. Perfect. Just to make it a little more clear. And I'm going to do the same. Create a new folder under screen, call it home, and move my home screen under the home folder. Perfect. So now we can save everything, close everything, and just open our welcome screen that we'll be working on right now. So what we want to return, we want to return a scaffold. Okay, from here everything is fine. So if I save that, well, you see we are in the right place and that's working perfectly. So we want to do something very simple. So we don't want any app bar because it's the welcome screen. So we are directly accessing the body parameter inside the scaffold. Okay. And we want to return a single child scroll view. And I'm going to tell you why that is. It's because we're going to have text fields inside our app. And if by making it a single child scroll view, it allows when the keyboard is going to pop to actually not overload and make the user being able to scroll through the screen, even if it takes a lot of space. Then we want to return a column, okay, with some children. All right, so let me the constant parameters. Okay. So what kind of stuff we want to do here? Well, I want to create a tab bar that will basically be able to navigate between the login thing or the sign up by just scrolling. So we'll have sign in or sign up, and then under two like an email text field and a password text field and a login button, and on the sign up tab bar, email, password, and the name and the button to create an account. So let's do just that. So we are going to need some stuff before doing all that. So let's create first let's say the background color for our scaffold. So the background color for our scaffold is going to be the color scheme. So we accessing the theme that we've created and accessing the background parameter, and it has an error because, well, it's not a constant stuff. So that's pretty much done for what it is. Next up, we want to create some parameter for our widget and actually make our widget a stateful widget. So let's modify just that. And under our welcome screen state, we are creating this controller that we are going to initialize inside the initState method that is just here. And you see here, we want to initialize our tab controller, but he has a parameter that's called vsync, okay? And that's not accessible because you need to make your widget with a thing that's called ticker provider state mixin. Save all that, and that's perfect. So now Let me think. So we have a column, all right? And now we want to make some tab bar. Okay, so let's just try to do that just now, but I think we're gonna have some kind of errors. The tab bar, okay. So the tab bar widget, and now you see that we have the parameters that takes different kind of tabs right here. So we have a first tab that is gonna be, well, for our sign in, and another tab, sorry, that is gonna be for our sign up, which is basically the exact same thing, but for signing up. Okay, so add constant. Perfect. So what you see here is we wrap this text widget with some padding, 12, and then we're adding a little style to it, making it a font size of 18. If I save that, what's going to happen? Yeah, we're going to have a problem because I guess he doesn't know which kind of screen to link to. Yeah, that's exactly that. So then under tab bar, I'm going to make another widget that's going to be a tab bar view. Okay, perfect. And it takes a children parameter that are actually going to be the screen. So up and here, just for now, let's create two containers. First container and a second container. Okay. And you see here that there is a problem because I want to add actually the controller that I've created right here. And I also want to add the controller that I've created to the tab bar right there. And they are telling me that this is not accessible. And I'm wondering why, because it's inside a constant. Yes. So remove this constant value. I'm just trying to make the constant so you can see, guys, what's actually happening a bit better with all this blue. But yeah, now, okay, that's good. Still have an error, but that's gonna go away, don't worry. So yeah, no tab controller for tab bar. So that's pretty much what we are trying to fix right now. So now, before everything goes under as well, we're gonna add some colors for our tab bar. So our tab bar is right here. So we want to add some colors for the unselected label tab bar, okay? And the label color for once it's selected, actually. So that's pretty much it. So that's done. And now we want to also say, well, the tab view is gonna be an expanded widget, I guess, because we want it to take the entire screen. Okay, perfect. Let's do just that. And now we want to actually display it so we can make it here a child of our tab view and center that. And as a child of this center, we're going to paste an icon and just take a random icon. The first one is fine, just to see, that everything is working as expected. So we have a container here. Let's just duplicate that and change the other icon with another icons. Okay, perfect. So let's see what's actually is going wrong. Well, we don't have any kind of size, right? So because it's doing that, it says, well, you can't do anything because you don't have any kind of size, because we just have a column inside a single child scroll view. And that makes kind of sense, right? So we might want to wrap our column with the widget, a container, but most likely a size box, okay? And give him a height and access the media query of context and size and height, okay? Let's see if that made any difference. Looks like it did. Looks like it did. Yes, you can see some stuff on the screen right now. That's very good. That's very good. Okay, perfect. So now you see that we have a problem because we don't have any kind of logic here. It's just taking the entire screen, and that's not nice. That's not what we actually want to see right here. So perhaps there is a little few tweak that you can do to it, because if we add, for instance, an up bar to our widget, you'll see that they will come down. Okay, so that's a bit better, but we don't want any app bar right here. So either we can do that, or we can say, right, so let's maybe, if you want just to use the app bar, you can set the elevation to 0, and you can set the background color to colors.transparent, and the app bar is actually going to go away. Okay, so that's one thing that you can do. I want as well to wrap our column with some padding. Okay, So let me just reorganize the code right here. Okay, so I've wrapped this with some padding and it's 8, but I want it to be, let's say, I want it to be symmetrical and horizontal. I'm gonna add 20, for instance. So let's see how this looks like. Yeah, okay. And I think we're pretty good. I think we're pretty good. What we might want to do is at the very top here, probably add a text widget. So let's just take this one and paste it in and say something like, welcome back. Yeah, that's something that could work. So we can do that, and maybe we want to make it like probably bold, right? So access the font weight parameter, bold, and make it, I don't know, 24. Sounds like something good. So now we might want to add some distance between those things. So let me just add here a sized box, height, and here cat will parameter height. I think that'll be enough. Yeah. So we see we have some kind of the same height between here and here. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And you can see right here that we have everything that we want. And if we remove this parameter, you'll see that we still have these errors because they're going to tell us, well, you can't expand in something that is infinite height. All right. So here, maybe we want to remove this expanded widget. All right. Refresh our stuff. And you'll see, and you still, well, refresh again, you'll still see that we have this error. But here, if we add again our height parameter, we still have this error. So the expanded widget right here and the height are mandatory for it to understand what's happening. But that's very fine. So that's very fine. So now we want to actually create our sign-in screen and our sign-up screen. So that's why I've moved everything under authentication folder right here. So here you want to create a new file. We're going to call it sign-in screen.dart. And another file, sign up screen.dart. Perfect. Okay. So once that's created, we are now going to create those two widgets. So stateless widget, sign up screen, save that, sign in widget, up, stateless, sign in screen, and save it. Okay. So here, back to our welcome screen, instead of returning inside our tab bar view two containers that are dummy containers, let's just return first our sign in screen and second our sign up screen. Perfect. And we can add const. So that's normal again, because it's only placeholders. You might say, well, what's happening here? Well, that's totally fine. It's totally normal. We are just returning placeholders. So we are going to modify this thing just right now. So let's go ahead and do just that. So we have our sign-in screen right here. So basically our sign-in screen, we want a form, okay? And we want two text field, as I said. So here I'm going to return first. I'm going to make that a stateful widget. And here, instead of a placeholder, I'm going to return a form widget. Perfect. Okay. And now let's go ahead and create a key for our form for the validation. So we will want to create a parameter, a widget parameter that's called form key. So let's just create it right above. Okay, so we're pretty good right here. And now we want to return as a child a column that takes some children, and those children, well, let's see. First, we want to have a little separation from the top, from this tab bar that we have right here. So we add the size box, and then we'll want to add this widget. And this widget, we didn't create it yet, but because we're gonna have 1, 2, and here 1, 2, 3 text field, we want to create our custom text field widget so it's actually easier for us and more readable in our code to play with. So here under components, you're going to create a file that's called textfield.dart. Perfect. So once you've created this textfield.dart, you basically want to create a class, okay? So this class is going to be like this. Wow, that's a lot of code. I'm going to walk you through it. So first you need to import material. Right, perfect. So now here, let's go ahead and implement actually our widget. So you can see here, we are just having as a class parameter some parameter that you would have inside a text field normally, and we are either getting them or not, right? And it's going to display what we want as a text field. And here we need the build. Under that, we need to return the build. So what we are returning a text form field, so a Flutter widget, all right? And for all those different parameters, we are just returning the stuff that were pasted before, and we are making the UI, let's say, common. So you can just post that and walk through it, but this is basically parameters that you will find, and we're just making it like this. So you can save your text field.dart, go back to your sign-in screen, and import the text field that we've just created. And see right here, we have some kind of errors. So we import Cupertino, but then I've put the controller, which would be an email controller. So we need to create this as well. So let's go ahead and create just that. So at the very top here under form key, I'm going to create the email controller. The error message, well, as well, I need to create that, but we'll deal with that a little bit later. Up, it's a string, perfect. And the last thing is the email reject expression. So that's something that you can either create in a separate file or that you can directly create here. I mean, it really doesn't really matter if you're going to reuse this expression later on. Probably want to create a common component as well. So let's go ahead and under components, you might want to create a new folder to create just that, but to keep it kind of simple, let's call a new folder that will call the new file that will call string.dart. And here we'll return our email regex expression. That's basically just checking if what the user input is an email or not. So checking if there is an at and if there is a dot com, fr, whatever you have as an email address. And here under your sign-in screen, you can now import string.dart. And here we're pretty much done. So now you see that we have our text field that is working. You see that there is a funny icon right here. I don't know why it does that to me those days, but it's just because I need to import Cupertino icons inside my Flutter, my prospect.yaml file. So you can as well do the same. Import Flutter icons in your prospect.yaml file if you have that. And I was looking for an email icon. So that's the first text field that's done. Now we want to create the second one. All right, so we're going to separate them with a little sized box of 10 and create the exact same thing for our password field with some little tweaks to it. So here it is, path. That's a lot of code. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it. So basically, what do we have? Well, we have a size box to define the size of our text field. So then we have our custom text field widget that we've created. So it needs a controller, a password controller. So we need to create that. So let's move ahead, move up. Under email controller, let's create a password controller. Okay, so that's done. Now, password controller, hidden text, and we need to obscure text. So basically, obscure text if it's true or false, all right? So here we can just say true, okay? But we don't really want to say true because we want to let the user have the possibility to trigger a little eye icon. So here, instead of saying true, I'm going to create a field here that's going to be obscure password and set it to true. Okay, why? Because here we have onto the suffix icon parameter an icon button that will actually be triggered every time that you click to actually display or not display the button. And we want to set the icon, okay? So we want to set the icon password icon that we're using. So another parameter at the very top, icon password, and we set it to this, this kind of icon. And the last thing is the password reject expression. So again, if you want to, you can create this separate file. So we have it right here, strings, and under that we'll create the password reject expression. And so basically this is a bit complex as a reject expression because it's checking if you have at least 8 characters, one uppercase, one lowercase, numbers, and one special characters that is inside this list, special characters. So you have it right here. If you want to get it, I recommend you just check the GitHub repository. Okay, it's gonna be in the description. If you want to use that, no problem. So you can save that and save that. And well, magically, we have our password field right here. So the only thing that we are missing right here is a button, right? So let's create just that. Let's create our button. And that's going to be a little trick to it for our button, because when we click on it, we want to see a circular progress indicator. And we don't want to see the button anymore, because otherwise you can just spam click the button and that wouldn't be nice, would it? So before doing anything, let's, under our size box here, our password field, let's put a little size box. And here we'll want to have a parameter that's called sign in required. Okay. And we are actually going to do a little else if here. So let's create our sign in required Boolean, basically. So we can just move up the file under all the stuff that we've created as well. Let's create sign in required and navigate back down. So sign in required. So if there is no sign in, so if there is not sign in, so you add an exclamation point right here, you want to return some kind of button. And if not, you want to return basically just a circular progress indicator. That's it. And you can make it a constant. But here up that we want to return some kind of button, and I'm going to just take the code and paste it in, and we're going to talk about it. Perfect. Let me just format this a little bit. Okay, reduce that so you have a bit more view of what's happening. So if there is no sign in pressed yet, we want to return a size box that has a very specific width. Okay, and it's going to be a text button. When we press the text button, so when we press the login button, the sign in button, we want to trigger if the form is well filled up. So we have a good format email and a good format password. We want to add a new event to our block. So let me import block and the sign in block. We want to, inside our sign in block, add a sign in required event. Okay, and this sign in required event that we've created in the last video requires an email and a password. And we are just doing just that. We are accessing the email controller from the text field and accessing the text parameter and the password controller text parameter and paste it in. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. So basically, let me format this a little bit more, and that's pretty much it. And under that, we have just some styling for the button. And here you see the button is a little smaller than the text field. If you want it to be the same size, well, you just go up. You see here that the width of our text field is actually the width, but times 0.9. So here, if you want it to be the same size, you can. It doesn't really matter right here. And if you want as well the height to be a bit different, a bit bigger, a bit beefier, you can as well set that right here. So you can save all this, and now we have a fully functioning sign-in screen, I'd say. So now we also want to create the sign-up screen. We can create that as well, but the video is getting a little bit long right now, and the sign-up screen is going to be a little bit more complex. So bear with me. We are going to go a little faster on the sign-up screen. So the sign-up screen is taking the same logic, all right? It's taking the same logic as the one that we have inside the sign-in screen. So I'm gonna just actually take the widget, and we are gonna talk about it. It's a little bit more complex because it all comes down to the password, okay? So instead of the placeholder, I'm just gonna paste that in. Wow, you're gonna tell me, are you crazy to paste 200 lines like this? Yeah, maybe, but you'll see. I will walk you through the entire thing. And again, I think it's very important to go to the GitHub for you to understand exactly what I've built. So we are returning a form, same thing as last time, and we need a key for this form. So let's first make this stateless widget a stateful widget, and under this state, create a form key. Okay, so then under this form, we are returning a center and a column. same stuff as the other widget that we've created. Then we are doing a size box to have a little more space at the very top of our widget, same as in the sign-in screen. And then we are returning the first email text field that we have. So we need to import the text field.dart that we've created. And same as the other one, we need to import Flutter Cupertino, as well as here our string.dart that we've created, and we need to create a new email controller. Well, we just did all that in the previous screen. So right here, you're not actually lost at all. Same thing for the password. So we need to create as well the obscure password kind of method, kind of a parameter, sorry, it's a boolean, we set it to true, okay? First, we don't want the password to be visible. If you click on it, well, that's gonna change. We need as well a password controller, as previously also we needed one, so let's create one just right here. And under that, you'll see the onChange. That's a little bit complex. So right here, we just want to see if there is the different parameters that we want. Why we want to do that? Because under the password field, I am actually creating a little text box that we see right here. So let's pass through that. And here under that, you'll see we are creating a row and with different text fields. So if it contains one uppercase, we want it to be green. If it doesn't, we want it to be black. One lowercase, but let's just create all that and you'll understand. So I need all of those booleans. So contains uppercase, contains lowercase, contains number, special characters, and contains 8 length. So at the very top of the file, don't worry, bear with me, don't try to understand it yet. You're gonna be fine, it's very easy. So you create all of those parameters, okay? So that's pretty good. So now what we want to do, we want to actually, let's see, we want to here add as well a special car regex expression. That is another expression that we'll add inside our string, okay? So navigate to the string here, see if it contains a special character, checking if it does. All right, so that's perfect. And then under that, sorry, so we are here, went maybe a little too fast, on change, every time that if the value contains, well, an uppercase, it's gonna set or contains uppercase boolean to true, okay? If not, it's gonna set it to false, okay? And we are doing that for every parameter that needs to be added to a password to make it complete. Under that, we need to have our suffix icon. Well, this is the same type of icon that we have created for the sign-in screen. So the little I, so let's just create that right here. And if you click on it, well, you know, you will be seeing the password, you will be displayed the password. So we were right here, suffix icon, okay, perfect. A validator, yeah, obviously, please enter this field if this is empty, and if the password regex expression, the one that we added into our string right here, is as a match, well, we can add this please enter a valid password, separating with some height, and then we have all of those little stuff that I talked to you about. You'll see them on the screen, you will understand, basically saying if your password is good to go. Now we need to also have a name controller, because we are not in the sign-in screen, we are in the sign-up screen. So we need to ask the name of the user, navigate back down, so that's pretty much on. We need to as well have sign up required, same stuff. If there is no sign up, I want to show the sign up button. If not, I want to return a circular progress indicator. Very straightforward. Let me just add this right here. Okay, navigate back down. And here you see that we have some kind of error as well. We need to import our user repository to access my user, and as well import sign up block and BLoC itself. So here in the text button, when we press it, what's happening? Well, if the form is okay, we are creating a new user object, setting him to empty, and then copying it with the email and the name. Okay, we don't have inside our my user class a password field. That's very much normal because we don't want it to be there. we wanted to give it to the block, to the sign up block, because there we're going to add a new event that's called sign up required that we've created, passing him the user that we just created, as well as the password, which is inside the password controller text. Let me save that. Well, finally, you see some stuff happening. Let me just refresh the entire stuff and navigate back to the sign up screen. So we have our email field right here, our password field right here, and see if I type, well, I just type test with upper T, test 1, 2, 3, 4, exclamation point, and you see exclamation point, and that's working perfectly. You can trigger that, test 1, 2, 3, 4, and every time you add a new one of the new fields, it will be displayed as green so the user knows if he has it right or not yet. So that's pretty much it for that, and the name as well right here. So we are pretty much good to go now. The only thing that we'll need to add in those screens are the block listeners, because here we are on the welcome page to sign in, and if we are in sign up success or if we're in sign up progress, we want to actually trigger this to change. All right, so inside our sign in screen right here, at the very top of our sign in screen, we're returning just a form, but we actually want to return a block listener. So let's wrap all this with the block listener and say that it's a sign in block. Okay, so here under the listener, what we want to do, so if the state is equal to sign in success, we want to say that sign in requires is equal to false. Okay. If the state is equal to sign up in process, we want to set the state of sign in required to true. And if the state is sign in failure, we want to say that sign in required is equal to false. So we have the button back and set the error message, the string that we have right here, to invalid email or password. You can get more details about the error itself from Firebase, but here it's more simple. And just like that, that's pretty much it. We need to do the same though for the sign up screen. So let's do just that at the very top of the sign up screen, instead of returning a form, I'm gonna wrap that with a block listener. All right, and this is gonna be a sign up block. Perfect. And we want to do basically the same logic, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just paste this. Hopla. If success, sign up required is equal to false, and we want to pop, but here we don't want to pop anything. Else if sign up in progress, sign up required is equal to true. Perfect. Sign up failure, just return something. We don't have any message implemented in this screen. Save all that, and you see that we have an error. Why would we have an error? You'll tell me. Well, it's very easy. It's because we are accessing this sign up block and sign in block inside our sign in screen and sign up screens, but we didn't paste them inside our welcome screen. Here we are just calling sign in screen and sign up screen, and you can't just do that. It's not possible. What you want to do is actually, instead of sign in screen, return a block provider, right? To provide the sign in screen with the sign in block. So we need to import sign in block. We need to import Flutter block. All right. And here it has a problem because it's not a constant, and you want to import authentication. So what it does, let me walk you through it. So block provider of type sign in block. Okay, we are creating a new instance of our sign in block, which take a user repository parameter. We are accessing the instance of the Firebase repository that we've created in actually our main.dart file by just accessing the parameter of the authentication block. So context.read the authentication block, and here you see you can access the user repository parameter. So that's exactly what we're doing. Instead of just creating new instance of the Firebase user repository every time we need it, that's pretty much more straightforward and performance saving. And let's do the same thing for sign up block. The sign up block is actually functioning the same. Let's just import the sign up block, and you would see now if I refresh everything again, there is no errors anymore. Again, so we are sure of this. Yes, So now we have our sign up screen, our sign in screen, and everything is working as expected. Okay, guys, so now it's done for this UI part. We're not going to test actually if it's working or not. You can test it on your own. We're actually going to test that in the next video where we'll deal with the home screen and actually log in for the first time. Thank you very much for watching, and I really recommend you to go to the GitHub to follow this part because there is a lot of moving part and you want to actually listen to me while I'm doing it, and as well as the GitHub open so you can copy and paste some code to understand exactly how it works. See you in the next video, guys.